Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Early Morning Core. I'm your host, Tristan, and today we are going to be talking about Obsession from 2026. Just came out not that long ago, and it also just came to streaming, I think, 2 weeks ago. Anyways, so far this is my favorite horror movie of the year, and hopefully Evil Dead Burn and Werewolf do as good as I think they will, because I'm really looking forward to those two, and if I think any movie this year is going to outdo Obsession, it's going to be either one of those. So if you see anything different, like on YouTube, you're actually seeing me. That's going to be kind of the new thing going on, is I'm actually going to record using this new laptop that my wife gave me. And now that I've got this new laptop, I can actually run Riverside and some other software that I couldn't on my old one. Anyways, Obsession, it did really, really well. I've got the numbers here. Let's see. You should know that the director of Obsession is Curry Barker, who is mainly known for his comedy skits and even his hour-long film that's on YouTube called Milk and Cereal. This movie only had a budget of $750,000, and it ended up grossing $406 million. And it was in theater for a while too. It even got an extension. It's supposed to come to streaming like June 2nd, but then it got pushed back because of how good it was doing in theaters. Some of the ratings that we got. Rotten Tomatoes of 94%, and IMDb of an 8 out of 10. This is a movie that's probably going to be remembered for quite a while. I assume it's going to go down in the future for sure. But okay, I'll go ahead and get it out there. I do think Nikki might have dated Bear, but if he had a spine for it. Well, got my notes pulled up, and let's get into it. So the movie starts out with Bear confessing his love for this girl named Nikki, saying she was the only one that was nice to him when he moved there, and she was there for him when his nana died, which is sad. It's actually some waitress, though, that is just sitting there, but we don't really know that yet because it's showing her, and she's got like this white, like one of those headbands, and she's just this waitress. And Ian says that Ian is his buddy. He is also there. Ian says he's being too sappy and cringe, but the waitress says she liked it and was trying to give suggestions like getting Nikki a gift, whereas Ian is saying to be mean to her and call her by a name that she's sensitive to from high school called Fricky Nikki. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think Ian was sabotaging Bear with bad advice. You'll find out later. But Bear wants to invite Nikki to trivia night as, a way of kind of asking her out in a way. And Ian is kind of saying Ian doesn't want him to, and how he wakes up hard thinking of trivia, saying it's all he has, stuff like that. Ian also tells Bear that all he has is time, which Kinda. I mean, like, dude, you're only like 20 something. Like, you're early 20s. You may be 21, 22. You have time. Ask Nikki out whenever. I mean, yeah. But, Ian's kind of being a little bit supportive with that line, saying all he has is time. And he's like, now say it. All I have is time. And then Bear goes home, and his cat passed away. So that's kind of like a buffer of, well, maybe you don't have time. But yeah, Bear goes home, and he sees his cat, Sandy, has passed away, who somehow got into his Nana's oxycodone pills. And I just now kind of thought of this. And maybe it's just me and what I would do in the situation. But Bear cleans up the pills and then puts them back. I'd be the one thinking, well, I don't need this, and I would have thrown them away, and I did see, I think it was Slasher Talk, that said he has a friend who watched that scene, and because of how he puts away the pills and how the medicine cabinet thing doesn't close all the way, how that was kind of signifying that suicide was always an option. Like it was always on Bear's mind or something. So, there's that. But, yeah, I even typed it out here. Was Bear already suicidal? Which, I don't know. I don't think he was. Maybe, but Bear just gets done cleaning, and he is now sobbing on his bed. He is very devastated about what happened to his cat. Which it is sad. And then now he is kind of laid down. He's no longer sobbing, and he's just quietly scrolling through Nikki's Instagram when Nikki decides to FaceTime him, asking about what time he will be there. And he's kind of saying that he doesn't want to go. He's saying he doesn't want to go. He's just thinking about staying home, and but she wants him to go, and she wants to tell him something. And he's kind of like, "Oh, you want to tell me something? Well, go ahead and tell me." And she says that she's going to put in her 2 weeks at work. And she also says that she's kind of running out of time because she wants to pursue being an author. Sorry. For a second, it looked like my bedroom door was open, and I was getting scared. Shit. But, and then she's like, oh, shit, fuck. And he's like, are you okay? What's wrong? And she dropped her crystal necklace down the drain. And then it cuts to Bear going to a store to get her a new one. And the clerk is like, hey, look, buddy, we're going to be closing soon, okay? And this clerk, has an AirPod in and is talking to a friend and is doing anything but helping this dude at first. She's very nonchalant as a person. I do like the nonchalantness because I used to work retail too, but he comes in asking if they've got crystal necklaces, and she does show him. She does show him where the necklaces are. And Bear's like, you got anything that's like good vibes, or the vibes are good, or anything like that? Positive? She's like, well, we've got this one, and it's like sunshine in a rock. Which that sounds really cool. I would want that. But he puts it back when he sees the One Wish Willows and asks the clerk, is it a scam or does it actually work? And she says, look, buddy, we're not scammers here. Okay? Like, we don't scam people. And he's like, well, do they work? And she's like, people complain about them. And it's like, why? Because they don't work or because they do work? And she's like, and people's lives get ruined. I'll be honest, she irritates me with that, okay? I truly do wish that she would have just straight up told him, yes, the wishes work. She can easily just tell you, yes, buddy, they do work. And for all we know, this movie would never happened. Or maybe it would have. From what we've seen with Bear, might have happened. I mean, but yeah, I even typed it here. Why can't she just answer? Question mark, question mark. Anyways, from there, he buys the One Wish Willow, and then cut to Bear, Nikki, Ian, and Sarah at Curry's. No, not Curry's bar. Barker's bar. Okay. Which is, of course, named after the director, Curry Barker. But Bear and Ian are like silently mouthing to one another while Sarah and Nikki are talking about something like Nikki was doing author stuff on the clock. I don't know. But there's silently talking, and then Nikki notices and goes, what the fuck are you two doing? But pretty soon after that, she decides to go get shots, and Bear follows her. Bear just goes with her, says, all right, I'm coming with. And he orders a pina colada. She makes fun of him for it, saying that she's glad that he's in touch with his feminine side and everything. I'll be honest, pina coladas are good. I mean, that's a fact right there. But, yeah. And he keeps trying to... Oh, wait, never mind. She asks him, what was he busy with all day? And he's like, well, I got my taxes done. I cleaned. And then she's like, no, you watch TV all day. And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Not mentioning, well, I was cleaning up my cat's dead body. Like, I did that. But, she's trying to pay, and Bear's like, I got it. And Bear hands her his card and then says, oh, thank you. And then hands the bartender her own debit card, which I think was really nice. But Bear keeps trying to talk to her. Oh, God. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Okay. Anyways, Bear keeps trying to talk to her, telling her, hey, look, this, and he got interrupted 3 times. Every single time he tried to say something, trying to tell her about Sandy passing away. The bartender interrupted twice, and then Ian interrupted that 3rd time and was like, hey, did you know that Sarah's dad keeps a gun in the safe? Which, they're like, oh my god, does he really? And I'll be honest, to me, that was no big deal. I mean, uh, yes, a shop owner having a gun in the safe sounds pretty likely in hopefully most places. But whenever, they cheers and they take their shots, Bear does say to Sandy, and Sarah is the only one that noticed. And whenever she's like, why did we cheers to Sandy? Bear said, 'cause Sandy died. And she gives him this very nice, warm, heartfelt hug, and it was sad. And it's truly sad that she's the only one that noticed. But you get done with the bar, and Nikki doesn't want to go to, I guess, this karaoke place that Ian and Sarah want to go to. So Bear offers to drive her home, and, it's okay, good deal. And then Ian says, get your girl home safe. Nikki says, ew, don't say that. And then cut to Bear driving Nikki home and talking about Sandy passing and Nikki quitting to pursue her dreams of being an author. And she wants to write a love story, not a romance story. There is a difference. Bear says he got her something, and she said, why did that make me nervous? Which right there is foreshadowing. Nikki tells Bear that Sarah was asking about him all day, and Nikki wants to know how he feels about her. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, how do you feel about her feelings for you, or something like that? I don't know. But she says that whenever she has a crush on a guy, no one knows. Which again kind of leaves it open. Hey, look, are you saying that, like, if you have a crush on Bear, Bear's not gonna know? I mean, that's kind of what I'm assuming. But I'm also along those lines of, I think Nikki just would have went out with him if he had the confidence to ask her. Maybe that's just me. But whenever she gets out and they're saying, good night, he does end up calling her Freaky Nikki, and she gets upset. She says, do you like me? Cause now is the time to tell me. And he says, I think we're good friends. Dude, just tell her. Yes, I like you. Shit. Like, get it over with. Really frustrating. But she's like, okay, good night, and then leaves. But he reaches to the back and he grabs the One Wish Willow, pulls it out, and then we hear the little jingle that happens every time you pull out the One Wish Willow. And he wishes right then, I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the fucking world. And then he's about to crank it up, and he looks towards the house, and he sees Nikki standing on the porch. And my God, does she look creepy right there? Because the porch light is on, but the way that it's set up is that you cannot see a single distinguishable feature on her front. She's just standing there, like hand on hip, looking at him, and you just can't see anything. You can't tell if she's smiling, what. Like, she's just standing there. It's creepy. She walks over and says, "You have something for me?" Because he did say earlier that he had something for her. And he says they left it at home, and she's asking him to come in because she just lost her cat. And then she says that she just lost her cat. And she's like, "Oh wait, I'm sorry. You just lost your cat. Do you want to come inside?" But she's asking him to come in and get some drinks and we can talk about your cat. And then while she's like sitting there, she just goes, "What the fuck? This is so weird." And then she's, okay, so that was real Nikki right there, for sure, talking. And then it's Wish Nikki takes back over and circles around the car, opens the driver door, and is trying to get him inside. Like reaching over, trying to undo his belt, and then standing there and like arms crossed, pouting and everything. Then she goes back to the passenger side and gets in, and she says she can't be alone right now because her dad is dying. And she's like begging at this point, to spend time with him and not be alone. So they go to Bear's place, and she says that it smells like him and it's nice. And then she's in his bed and asks him to sleep in the bed with her, or otherwise she's just going to be laying there staring at the ceiling all night. But she starts taking her shirt off, and he looks away, like a kinda like a gentleman does, like you look away when some lady's getting undressed. I mean, even if she's trying to sleep in bed with you or whatever, it's a weird situation to be in. But that's the right movement for sure. But then he gets in bed and he's on top of the sheets, and I think he's wearing jeans too. When she gets closer and says that she needed this, and she's like got her head on his shoulder and everything. And she apologizes about his cat before moving in and kissing him. Then she like backs away for a second, looks at him, and then goes, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And she like jumps off the bed, basically falling out of it and everything. Then apologizes while Bear's saying, "What the fuck?" And Bear's kind of freaking out too. But Nikki's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you like that. I thought I saw something. I'm sorry. But what could you have possibly seen other than a demon right behind me that'd make you jump like that?" But Nikki is back in the bed, and Bear's lying on the floor when he decides to get up, and he's looking up the One Wish Willow online, which has mixed reviews. It says either it doesn't work or it does work. Everybody that's saying no is saying it's a collectible. You're not supposed to break it. Everybody's saying, yes, probably broke it. But he comes back and Nikki is awake. And again, the lighting. So good. The lighting has it to where it's kind of like the same thing. It is, her face is just, you can't see any details. It's really, really well done. But, asked him, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I was just using the bathroom. And she gets him. She gets him back in bed. And he wakes up in the morning and she's already cooked him breakfast and set up a memorial for Sandy. And she does not understand that she did something wrong. Where he's like, that's really fucking weird. She's like, is it bad? Is that bad? It's like, yes, girl, that is pretty bad. Nobody holds memorials for cats after they've already been put in the trash bag. But, Nikki and Bear, they get to work at, of course, the same time. And Ian starts talking to Bear, saying, like, dude, what the fuck? You guys, But, anyways, Bear and Ian are talking in the back, and Nikki is staring at them. And Bear is telling Ian, like, that was so fucking weird. She was basically acting psychotic. And apparently her dad's dying, and, her dad has cancer, and Ian says, but she doesn't care about her dad. Like, and then Ian goes, it sounds like she was on fucking Molly. Like, with the psychosis type stuff that Bear was experiencing. But cut to the end of the shift, and they're all leaving work, and Nikki is getting a ride from Ian instead of Bear, and we cut to Bear at home talking to Ian about Nikki. And in the background, we see Nikki walking by the window to the front door. But he's looking up side effects of Molly, and Nikki walks up to the door wearing this red dress and is apologizing about the night before. And she was saying, I was on MDMA and I was wasted. And this scene, again, the lighting. If I praise any movie for lighting, it's Obsession. Obsession's lighting is so good. Let me just. Oh. Okay. The lighting in Obsession is so good. Okay. I need to look up who it was that was in charge of this. Because when I say there are so many scenes where the only reason why it's scary is because of the lighting or because it's memorable, is because of the lighting. So good. But the way that the lighting is shown is like she is very dark, but her eyes are like almost shiny. Like it looks really good. And Nikki says that Bear didn't take advantage of her, and Bear's like, yeah, no, I didn't take advantage of you. She's like, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bear's like, saying what? They took advantage of me. I didn't say that. And then Bear's like, I didn't do that. And Nikki's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that you didn't take advantage of me. I don't know. It's kind of stupid. But yes, Bear, you did. Technically. I mean, although it was Nikki that was kissing you and everything, you're taking advantage of Nikki. It's not good no matter how you spin it. And then she says this line that I want to say is in the trailer, and it's good, where she's like standing sideways and looking at him. She's like, I know you like me, Bear. And then cut to all this cutesy stuff. After he's like, well, is that a bad thing? Yeah, it's kind of a weird moment. Like, I feel like if he could have said that, he should have been able to tell her, the night of, yes, I like you. It makes no sense. But cut to this cutesy little montage of them cooking together, watching movies, cuddling, doing whatever, making AI art of each other saying, I want to wear your skin. Yeah, like it's beautiful. True young love. And then we slowly see Bear, like throughout this montage, how he's kind of getting more like, he's getting more out of that honeymoon phase. You know, the honeymoon phase when you first start a new relationship and you're all lovey-dovey all the time. It's only sunshine and rainbows. And then like it ends and then you're like, okay, well guess what? Love is still effortless when you find the right one. But that honeymoon phase where everything feels perfect, that's just your brain chemicals. That's not reality, because after that honeymoon phase, you're more than likely going to, bicker more or whatever, but not this couple. This couple doesn't argue. This couple has Bear treating Wishnicky like a piece of shit, and Wishnicky scaring the bejesus out of probably everybody. But cut to them at this restaurant, and she's asking, what he wants to do, and he says he wants to be a food critic, and describes some fairly selfish reasons why. He's like, well, I do want to be able to go to a restaurant, and they're like, hey, are you that food critic? And he's like, oh, please, call me 3-Bite Bailey. Whatever. And how they will give him a free 4-course meal, and he gets paid for it. And he licked the bread that was at the table. He was like, kind of stale. Butter would make it better. Shut up. God, I can't stand his ass. I'm like, imagine wanting to be a food critic just so that way you get free food. Who gives a damn? Ugh. Just for free food and to get paid for it too. My God. Okay. But Ian keeps calling Bear, and eventually Bear gets up, answers the phone. Let me get at this part. Let's see. Ian tells him that her dad doesn't have cancer. Her dad's healthy as a horse. And then and also Nikki told Sarah that Nikki only sees Bear like a brother, which we've heard that before. I mean, like with probably throughout our life, getting friend zoned and stuff. It happens. but it's the fact of how they are dating now. And that brotherly connection that Nikki's feeling makes an appearance later. But Bear goes back to the table and he sits down. And Nikki gives him a tiger's eye. And then Bear, because this tiger's eye gives courage and everything, Bear asks her, "Does your dad really have cancer?" And she's like, "No, no, 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 don't do that. I thought we were having a nice date. I thought we were having a nice date." It is. I don't know about you guys, but I can't stand scenes that are very in public like that are outbursts. I just get secondhand embarrassment very easily. But he's like, we are having a nice date. We are. And then she's like, then why does it matter? Like a fucking psycho. Tell you what, my wife told me that her dad has cancer, and then I catch her lying to me about it. And then she's like, well, why does it matter? You love me. I'm like, well, yeah, but you didn't have to lie about that. And then this is one of the most uncomfortable scenes. And it is when the two of them are having sex. When it's so uncomfortable. The, imagery that is shown is Bear on top with a Nikki that is just laying there. She is not into this. Her face says she's not into this. It is disgusting. It is awful. It truly is. It's really sad too. But right after that, we get one of the scariest scenes of the movie, and that is the 3:45 a.m. scene. So cut to Bear waking up. It's 3:45 a.m. and he's looking around the room. And we kind of see something in the corner, like a person standing there. Go back to sleep. I think the fuck not. I'm running out of here. Turning on every light I have. Running out of here. Fuck that. That's awful. And then he says, what are you doing? She's like, creeping out of the corner. Watching you sleep. You're so cute when you sleep. And he goes, you're wearing my sweater. She's like, the sweater feels like you. I don't like my dreams. I feel like you don't love me as much as I do. Like it's not mutual. And the face that she is making fucking terrifies me. I truly do mean this. Night after me and my wife watched this movie, I woke up multiple times that night and I had to look in the corners of the bedroom. I'm like, my wife would probably do something like that just to freak me out. But, whew, get the heebie jeebies about that scene. And then she starts moving. But, go back to sleep. So he tries to lay his head down. And then we hear the yell, why don't you love me? And she comes back and she's like quickly walking sideways like a fucking crab, holding this vase of flowers in front of her face. She circles the bed. I cannot tell you how quickly I would have been gone the second I woke up and she was in that dark corner. Whew, God, I'm getting chills down my spine. It's awful. But, he's like, Nikki, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I got some flowers for Sandy. And puts it down on the table. Oh my God, it made no sense. It was so creepy, though. And morning comes, and she apparently cut some of his hair off. He does go into the bathroom, and he looks in the mirror, and he's like, what? Then straight up asks her, did you cut my hair? And she said, yeah. She's, reading a book or something. And of course, he's asking about the night before, hey, because you're like terrifying me. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then they say that they love each other and they kiss and everything. And he's like, yeah, no more weird stuff. Is that okay with you? She's like, of course, will never happen again. And I forgot to mention how, like, whenever he confronted her, she was like, well, how's this? And smiled, and he was like, yeah, I don't think so. But he tries to leave, and my God, that's a lot of duct tape. She used so much duct tape on this door to try and keep him inside. And he's grabbing a hold of it and he's pulling it. She's like, if you're having trouble with the door, maybe you should just stay home. And he's like, I got it. I'm good. And he walks out and she is staring at the door with this smile and squint. Like, and she is still. She's just standing there still, and then she starts peeing on the floor. We get to work, and Barry's about to eat his lunch that Nikki packed, and my mom actually pointed this out because we all watched it at home. And my mom said, half a sandwich. Which is fair, because half a sandwich is not going to do nothing for me. But she's got the two Polaroids in there. One of them says you, and it's a picture of Bear. Another one says not me, which has to be real Nikki coming out and being able to write that down. Kind of like showing Bear, hey, look, this is not me. But Sarah asks what that is and asks if he's going to Ian's party, and he says that he wasn't invited. And Bear actually kind of confronts Sarah about what she told Ian. And Ian says that they only talked about it once, and that if Ian is going to spread her shit, then she should say that Ian and then Sarah's dad shows up with a letter. She got denied to this other college. She said, this is what I get for being a fuck up. And Bear's like, well, I mean, I'll let you tattoo me for free. And he's trying to, comfort her. And she puts her head on his shoulder And then he puts her head on hers, and it's a very sweet moment. And it's like that shot right there was definitely like, you two would have made a good couple. But she gets up and she reads the note. She's like, for my little food critic. And she's like, the back says, what's the verdict on Cat? Which then goes to this part where we see Bear take the bread and stuff off of the sandwich. Oh. And lo and behold, the sandwich has cat meat in it. And he gets sick and he starts puking. And she's like, what's that mean? What does that even mean? And he's like, inside joke. Which, hell no. But cut to the end of the shift, and Ian needs a ride from Bear. And they're talking about Nikki, and Ian says that it looks like he's taking advantage of the situation, saying that she's obviously not in a good headspace or something. And Bear's like, fuck you, man. Because she's the one that won't leave me alone. And Ian's like, I'm saying it from a place of love or whatever. Better heard something. But Ian's like, hey, look, if the relationship is real and it's healthy, come over. But she can't come over. Tell her it's a boys' night. And Bear gets home and he is kind of rehearsing, you can't cook the cat. You can't cook the cat. Rehearsing that. And then the little or before he says get out, the One Wish Willow jingles in the back. So he grabs it and he's reading the back of it, and there's a phone number. He gets it and he calls the number, and the guy that answers is actually Curry Barker himself. And he's like, hello. Yeah. Like, I don't know. He does not sound like customer service at all. He does not have the customer service voice. But Bear says he wants to alter his wish. He doesn't want to cancel his wish. He wants to alter it. Fuck you, Bear. And this guy's like, yeah, we don't really do that. And he can't cancel. But he does say when you die, the wish will go away. It sounds like you have a moral obligation to be there for her. And then he's also, Bear's asking, like, is it real? Is her love real? And this guy says, just because you chose this for her doesn't mean it's not real. Which, I do like all of these lines that he says. And then also, do you want to talk to her? And then you just hear the fucking screaming on the phone. And it is one of those, you're hearing the screaming and you are, being told that it's Nikki that's screaming. And it's such a thing of, oh my God, that poor girl. And the only way she's getting free is if Bear dies. So. But Bear hangs up pretty shortly after that. And then goes in and she is still standing there. She's been standing there this whole time. She has peed, crapped, puked, she's sweaty, she's clammy. It's not a good look. But she says that she ate a bug or has a bug, and she gets in the shower, and he is asking about the cat. She's ignoring this. Asking about the cat. She's ignoring him until he mentions the boys' night. Then she turns off the shower and she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let me get ready." He's like, "Well, thing is that it's a boys' night, so I think I'm just gonna go alone." And then you hear something break, and her just screaming. Yeah, that was great. And then they end up going, and they're sitting around there playing this game of Jenga or something, but with dares, basically. And this one guy switches seats with Bear, so that way he can sit with Nikki. And this guy says, "Jesus, Bear, what kind of spell did you put on under?" And everybody laughs, and Nikki laughs for a really long time. She pulls one of the Jenga pieces and starts reading some Hansel and Gretel erotica. And she does say this: "The type of love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure." Which, if you pay attention to earlier, apparently Nikki loves Bear like a brother, just like Hansel and Gretel. Branch of a willow tree, the one wish willow. Love that only it could conjure. The one going on right now. Sounds like she quite literally wrote about the situation that she's in. But Bear draws one, and it says, "Kiss the person on your left." Which, happens to be Sarah. So Nikki stands up, and she's got this frown. And then she circles around. She gets behind Sarah. I will be honest, I thought Sarah was gonna die. I truly, truly did think that she was gonna grab the back of Sarah's head and shove her, like, eye onto one of the liquor bottles or something. Like, truly thought she was not gonna be living. But no, she just drags Sarah's chair back and then kneels down and gets a kiss from Bear. She says, "Everyone will die before they feel the strength of connection like she does with Bear." Then she says, "I'm just kidding. I'm just joking." Okay, I'm not. Deal with it. Like, it's very cool. I love the way that she acts in this movie. Then she freaks out. She's jumping over, she's falling, and she grabs this liquor bottle and she breaks it and stabs herself in the face with it a couple times, and then she's making these faces. Not accurate representation of the face that she made, because she did a much better job. And everybody's kind of freaking out, except for Bear. Bear's just sitting there, really just looking. And Ian's like, "Get up, asshole," or something. I don't know. But he tries to take her to the hospital, but they can't admit somebody who's refusing treatment. So, cut to back at home, and Bear is confronting her about the party, saying everything was normal, and why does she have to do that? And he even yells. And Nikki says that Sarah has a crush on him. And he asks if Nikki is happy. She says, I'm your freaky Nikki. That's the biggest red flag. But he's telling her that he just wants her to act normal and to act like Nikki. And this poor whatever it is, Wish Nikki, demon, whatever, is in the ground crying, saying, I can't be what you want me to be. And it's very sad to me, at least. And then freaking Nikki does the backing up motion that she does. Very freaky. She does this backing up motion, and he is like, Nikki, you're scaring me. And she's saying, oh, no, don't be scared, don't be scared. And then, like, kind of rushes at him a little bit and stops. that was really funny. But, and then he is saying, how about this? How about you take the bed for yourself and I'll stay at Ian's? And she says, okay, then goes and she rummages through like a drawer or something. She comes back with, I think, a knife. I'm not sure exactly what it is. And I tried my best to write this down word for word, but I know I messed it up. She says, well, if I have the bed to myself tonight, I'll be warm until slowly I feel cold, like I walked into a freezer, like my hands are full of sand, like when you lay on them wrong, and that feeling will spread across my entire body. You're still in my heart, but you're slipping. Any thought of pain or regret will slip away. Then she's describing like suicide, and I mean, of course, all that says suicide, like slitting her wrist and everything. But she's also describing death, how death is nothingness. She says death is not, darkness, because darkness is color. Death is nothingness, and it is terrifying. Or he could stay. So, of course, he's going to decide to stay. And Sarah is sending him text messages and asking him to go to the park or she's going to come over there. So he very so gently gets out of bed. Without waking her up, and real Nikki starts talking through, her body. Trying not to wake up Wish Nikki. Real Nikki is like begging Bear to kill her and to not wake her up. And then this line right here is one of my least favorite lines in the whole movie. What's so bad about being with me? You son of a bitch. Oh, I can't stand his ass. But it's bad. And Nikki says, I've never been with you. Which is true. Nikki's never been with you. You've never asked her out. So yeah, it's not looking good. But he gets to the van where Sarah is parked, and she's saying something that Nikki is taking advantage of Bear and doesn't want him to get hurt. And she also has her letter from the last college that she applied to. And she wanted to open it together with Bear. It's very sweet. But she also decides that it's better to tell Bear that Nikki and Ian have actually been hooking up for the past couple years. Very casual, just on and off. And that Sarah thinks that Nikki's getting with Bear to hurt Ian for some reason. And she says that she thinks he needs someone more chill, talking about Bear. Bear's like you. And she smiles and she says, well, I was on your left. He's like, what? She goes, I was on your left. You were supposed to kiss me. And that is when Nikki breaks her window with her head, with her own head. Nikki breaks the window with Wish Nikki's head. And holds a brick in front of the steering wheel, grabs a hold of the back of Sarah's head, and proceeds to beat it on there. And I'm talking so many times, she smacked that beep, 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 and it's just bloody, and it's a pulp, and it's fucking blood everywhere, and it is cold, and there's no lines being said. It is shock and awe. I remember being in the theater, like, it was a very, like, I mean, we all knew that she was gonna die right then. Like, okay. Of course, I initially thought she was gonna die at the party scene, but after that, and the way that they were filming the van scene, I'm like, yeah, Sarah's about to die. But this part where Nikki is telling Bear, oh, baby, I'm so sorry, but it's all your fault. Sarah's all your fault. And it is. Yeah. But you're going to have to help me get rid of the body. So they take Sarah's body to the place that they work at. And he gets back in his car and he opens up the last letter. And Sarah got accepted. She never even got to realize that. But he's yelling and he screams. And he goes back to the shop where he bought the One Wish Willow. And he's gonna buy more. And he's talking to this clerk and he says, because he doesn't see it, he says, hey, where are the One Wish Willow? They look like this, you know? And this guy says, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm kidding. They're right there. And Bears is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you sell this to people? And this guy's like, there's a bunch of warnings on it. And Bear says, fuck you. And this guy says, hey man, fuck you. But the clerk says, you can't be coming in here with all this negative energy, man. And the clerk kind of tells him, like, you know, it's only one wish. But maybe, if you get somebody else to make a wish that contradicts your wish, then, you know. So, of course, Bear's going to buy a few One Wish Willows, and Bear goes to Ian's, and apparently he's gotten a bunch of texts from Sarah saying to come over to Bear's place. And Bear is telling Ian it's real fucking magic, and you only get one wish, and that's the reason why Nikki's like this. And hey, look, if you make this wish, you know, you can have Nikki. Like, I don't want her. Then he is like, man, that's what this is about, and everything like that. It makes no sense. But, Ian says, I wish for $1 billion. He breaks it. and it's just raining. It's just raining money. So, and Bear's looking at him like, you asshole. But Bear, oh god. Bear goes home and he sees like what looks like a shrine for him. And he also does see Sarah, who is naked and scalped. And we see Nikki in the background doing this also creepy walking wherever. But Bear is there and she's trying to ask Nikki to make a wish, and Nikki is wearing Sarah's clothes. She has drawn on tattoos, the same tattoos Sarah has, she's drawn onto herself. And she is wearing the wig that is made from Sarah's scalp. And she's smoking. Yeah, it's a whole lot of nope. Let's see. Where was I? But yes. She then hits herself with a brick in the face. I think she only does it once though, and she drops it. She's creeping towards him, and Bear falls onto the couch, and Nikki is like in his lap and has like the gun on her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it." And Ian comes in. She immediately shoots him in the head. And she's like, "I'm gonna stick this barrel in my pussy and pull the trigger. Is that what you want?" Or something. No. I've got no idea why she's making these threats. But Bear ends up like screaming that he loves her, and it is so good. But she is saying that they're gonna be together forever and ever and ever. And she says that he shook his head no. I did not notice it though. But he does get the gun. He goes into the bathroom and locks the door. And he's about to shoot himself, but decides to swallow a bunch of pills instead. Then he tries to make himself puke. But we hear the jingle. And then we hear the little branch snap. Then he stops trying to puke himself. And he goes outside of the bathroom and he goes back to her. And they're smiling at each other like love at first sight. I mean, it is truly like they just fell in love right then and there. And they're all looking all shy. You know, it's kind of adorable. And they kiss until Bear drops dead because he never got those pills out. So yes, Bear is now dead, and Nikki grabs the gun. She's about to commit suicide too. She sticks the barrel under her chin, but the wish wears off. So she comes back. She like shoves Bear off of her. She's looking around and she just starts screaming, and it is saddening. That is the end of Obsession. Now, we are going to get into a little bit of trivia while we can. This episode is already over an hour long, so how much I actually get done, I don't know. This movie was shot in 20 days. Already insane. This movie was shot for under $1 million and was picked up by Focus Features for distribution for $15 million. After a bidding war, several distributors wanted it, including A24 and Neon. Which, I wonder, like, how the movie would have been different if either one of them got it. Director Curry Barker's stylistic approach throughout this film was to avoid cutting unless absolutely necessary and to eliminate insert shots entirely, with the sole exception being shots of something at which a character is actively looking. The entire film is constructed from the perspective of Michael Johnston's character Bear. The festival cut of the film featured more graphic violence, cut from the R-rated release. The music store scenes were filmed at Cassell's Music in San Fernando, California. In the same music store where the scenes in Wayne's World from 1992 were filmed, in which Mike Myers, or Wayne Campbell, pines for the 1964 Fender Stratocaster. 50 more trivia? Wait, can you see that? Oh, shit. Probably. Okay, there you go. 50 more. See y'all. That's a lot. Oh my god, that's a lot. I think I'll just make a separate video on the trivia. Because holy hell, is that a lot. Anyways, that's Obsession. If you have not seen it, go check it out. You can rent it or you can buy it. Dealer's choice, I guess. I don't know. But I hope that you all have a wonderful day. And bye-bye.